Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Ardennes 44, The Battle of the Bulge. This is a game designed by Mark Simonich and published by GMT Games. This is the third printing of this game. I recently got hold of this and I want to take a look inside and share it with you. This is, I think, my fourth Bulge game. I'm not a big Bulge fanatic, but I did recently pick up two new Bulge games, Ardennes 44 and Bitterwood's Designer Edition, which we'll also be taking a look at here on the channel and in the coming weeks. But first, let's take a look inside Ardennes 44 and see what you got. 16 December 1944, after a period of fog, rain, and snow blanket the area, three German armies unleashed 26 divisions against the thinly held American lines in the Ardennes forest of Belgium and Luxembourg. The objective of the Germans is to push through the Ardennes, then cross the Meuse River, and head for Antwerp. Hitler hopes to split the Allied armies apart and smash their vital supply port at Antwerp. Can the Americans stop them? Historically, the German army trampled the American 8th Corps and penetrated within 2 miles of the Meuse. The Americans stubbornly fought the Germans at many critical crossroads, slowing and then stopping Germany's elite forces. Historically, the German offensive achieved little except to create a bulge in the American lines. Ardennes 44 explores this fascinating campaign with a detailed order of battle and an extremely accurate Ardennes game map which covers the area from the Our River to the Meuse. Ardennes 44 covers the period from December 16th to the 26th. Two shorter one-map scenarios are included which cover the initial stages of the German attack. The result is Ardennes 44, a game that both the Bulge enthusiast and the casual player will enjoy. German attacks follow historical advance routes, and the Bastogne and St. Vith defense perimeters are often as large as they were historically, instead of one big stack of units in the town itself. The Allied player has a chance at holding Elsenborn Ridge and making the Germans pay dearly for the twin villages of Rockerath and Krinkelt. Likewise, the German player has an equal chance of changing history and reaching the Meuse River. It says here the third edition of Ardennes 44 comes with upgraded maps, counters, player aids, and a rule booklet. And that's an example of some of the counters you're going to get. And it is a 7 on the solitaire suitability scale and a 6 on the complexity scale. And the game contents come with 3 full-color counter sheets, 2 full-size map sheets, 2 identical player aid cards, 2 order of appearance cards, a turn record track, a 32-page rulebook, and a 24-page scenario book / playbook. And let's take a look inside the box and see what you get. All right, so we get our 2d6 rulebook, our playbook, player aids. Here we've got our order of appearance cards and our turn record track, our CRT, and this is a fold-out, 3 counter sheets, and our map. And here's a look at the map that you get for Ardennes 44. It is a 2-part map. I can't lay them out side by side. Unfortunately, my old camera does not have good field of view, so maybe in the future I'll be able to get a new camera and you'll get a little bit more consistent colors and field of view where you'll be able to see all that. I apologize for using antiquated equipment, but hey, you got to work with what you got, right? But you've got the terrain legend up there where it tells you everything that's on the map. You have clear, light woods, forest, wooded rough, primary roads, secondary roads, villages, towns, cities, the Meuse River, Standard River, and then you have your entry hexes. On the sides you have these holding boxes for the Allied units. You have Antwerp, IP marker holding box up there on the top right. Then you have limited Allied units and limited German units over on the right-hand side. Over here, these green stars that you may see on the sides and on the top of the map, those are the Allied entry boxes for, I'm going to assume, from these holding boxes here. That's what it looks like. But graphically, it looks really pretty and very easy to tell what is what as far as terrain features go, and all of the text of the terrain features and the towns is pretty easy to read, and it should not be a problem at all for anybody taking a look at the map. And this is a look at the bottom half of the map. You have your German prime movers and SM markers down at the bottom. You've got more holding boxes here for the Allies. These are blocking positions. And then the phases of the game: artillery supply phase, fuel shortage phase, so on and so forth. And then over on the right-hand side, you have Allied SM truck markers, engaged markers, and some other holding boxes there as well. But north is facing to this way. So this is a north face. West is this way, south obviously is this way, and east is towards the camera. But that gives you a perspective as far as how the map is. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see much of this, but this would be the east side of the map. That, the top part that we just looked at, that would be the west. This is facing north, so that gives you an idea of how the map is laid out. And we have our order of appearance cards for the Germans and for the Allies. The Allied one actually is folded under because there's so many Allied units that obviously come into this scenario. You're gonna have to remember to unfold that to take a look. Then we have our turn record track here. It goes from 16 December to 26 December. Down here we have our U.S. infantry paratroopers, U.S. combat commands. British infantry paratroopers here, the Wehrmacht units, Fallschirmjägers, and SS Panzer units down here. On the back of the card, we've got our Patton's counterattack and extended campaign game scenarios that you can use. This starts off on December 22nd. It goes to December 30th. This is one of the 2 player aids that we looked at the beginning there that is a fold-out. It's your CRT, summary of the shifts, firefight table, whole bunch of other tables inside. Explains the game markers, the advanced results, road bonus, summary of prime mover markers. Then on the back we get the terrain effects chart, and it just clearly lays out, like we saw at the top of the map, the terrain legend, and then movement points for non-mech mechanized infantry and vehicle, and if there is an armor shift or not. We'll take a look at the counters now. Here's some US and British counters. Units are color-coded, making it really easy to know who's who and who goes with who. And we've got our German units. I like tank silhouettes on the counters. I like, when it comes to just armor alone, I like when they use the tank silhouette, so you know exactly what you're looking at, the type of vehicle at a glance, rather than just your standard armor unit. I like that too, but I just like seeing tanks on the map. And then we've got some more US units here and some admin counters on sheet 3. All right, so we'll take a look at the rulebook here. It is a 32-page rulebook. The rules themselves go to page 26. The last 6 pages are for optional rules and some scenario and 3rd edition change notes, as well as an index and the expanded sequence of play on the final page. Inside, we've got a breakdown of the counter and how to read those, inventory of the components that come with the game pieces, and a list out of the different types of units in the game. In this one, we get some M4 Shermans, M5 Stuarts, M10 tank destroyers, M18 tank destroyers, and M36 tank destroyers. For the British, we have the Sherman Firefly and the Churchill. The Germans have the Panzer IV, Panzer V, the Panther, the Panzer VI Tiger, and the King Tiger. Stugs, Hetzers, Jagdpanzer IVs, Jagdpanzer Vs, and Jagdpanzer VI. And then you have the NATO armor symbol in there as well, Sturm Tigers and Brummbär. And then we've got Recon, Mechanized Cavalry, Flak, Artillery, Nebelwerfer, Mechanized Infantry, Panzer Grenadiers, Motorized Infantry, so on and so forth. And that is a listing, just an idea of the type of units that are in there. And you have explanation of how to read the unit ID, the arrival information, game markers, and then you get into the map, sequence of play outline, fuel shortage phase, artillery supply phase, building and blowing bridges, stacking, zones of control, ZOC bonds, rules of movement, strategic movement and truck markers, reinforcements, entry hexes, off-map boxes, blocking positions. The combat rules start on page 11. You get into the combat modifiers with an illustrated example, combat results, firefight tables, get into retreats on 15, and then disruption and rally, and then advance after combat. So good deal on combat right there. We don't even get into advance after combat for 6 pages. Disengagement and removing engage markers, tanks and recon units, artillery units, supply surrender, traffic markers and bottleneck hexes, night turns and replacements, breakdown units, special units, and turn 1 special rules. And then you get to the end of the rules here for how to win. Then you get into optional rules like night infiltration, fuel dumps, roadblocks. Then you have your scenarios. Scenario 1 is a campaign game. Scenario 2 is a 6-turn scenario. Then you have an 8-turn scenario, as well as Patton's counterattack, and then the extended game for scenario 5. So you get 5 scenarios in the game. And then we get the 3rd edition changes listed out, the credits, and the index here on the last page. And on the back, we have the expanded sequence of play. This is the playbook. It is a 24-page playbook. At the front, everything is stacked up front, the designer's notes, player's notes, and the bibliography before you get into the extended example play on page 7 and down into the scenario. So right here at the beginning, we get the designer's notes from the 1st edition, the 2nd edition, and 3rd edition. And then the player's notes and a bibliography if you're looking to read some more about the bulge and want to get some more information. Then you get into the extended example play starting with German turn 1 here on page 7. And it walks you through the whole thing, including a nice illustrated example here on the foldout. And then another example on page 10. We get to the Allied turn 1, German turn 2, Allied turn 2 with good illustrated examples. And then you finish out here on the December 16th night turn. So you get about a 7-8 page illustrated example of play, which is really helpful for visual learners like me that like to read things and see how it plays out to try to follow along. You can lay out the counters if you want, play along exactly like it's laid out here and understand the mechanics in a hands-on graphical way. Then you have the German reinforcement schedule, Allied reinforcement schedule, Patton's counterattack scenario, and then the counter manifest, And then there's an explanation of at-start movement restrictions. And then we are on the back of the playbook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Ardennes 44, the Battle of the Bulge. This is the 3rd edition from GMT Games. And if you are a Bulge fan, you're probably already aware of this game if you're not already an owner. If you've been curious about this game, I hope this look inside will get you a better picture as to what you can expect. And if you've been curious about getting a copy of it, I'd say get a copy of it now, because as it says here, 3rd edition, it's been reprinted 3 times. So these tend to go out of print fairly quick. So make sure you get them. And Simonich's operational series is very popular, and for good reason. They're very good games. So don't wait too long. And the best part about it is, if you're not a fan of paper maps, GMT's gone ahead and they've printed a brand new mounted map. So you can get them separately. I did not get that. I just got the paper map. But if you want a hardback map, you can get yourself a mounted map here for Ardennes 44. But I hope that helps you guys if you've been curious about this game. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.